Hello everybody, this is Gregory with 5-Minute Catholic Apologetics, where 5 minutes of your time may get you to the divine. Today we're going to talk about Saint Athanasius of Alexandria. Let's start with a prayer. Nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritui Sancti. Amen. Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto, secutor in principio et nunc et semper et in saecula saeculorum. Amen. Athanasius. I love saints who kick arse and defend the faith. So, he lived from 296 to 373 AD, early church father, doctor of the church. His feast day is May 2nd. He is most famous for being the orthodox view against Arianism. And I don't mean Greek Orthodox, I mean just the established view against Arianism. So, let's kind of go back in time. So this is a time where Christianity was not legal when he was born. It became legal with Constantine around 313 AD. But this was a time where the Roman Empire was still pagan. Eventually, later in the 4th century, Catholicism became the official religion of the empire. But this was still a time of tumult. So, you got to love this about Athanasius. He was exiled 5 times from Alexandria, the city in Egypt. 4 emperors replaced him as Bishop of Alexandria. He was excommunicated by a pope. He didn't care. He fought for the faith. There's a great story where the bishop of the time, Rufinus, saw little Athanasius, and he was baptizing a kid in the water. He was looking out the window, and he saw a little kid baptizing another kid, so he called the kids in and said, "What are you doing?" It's like, "Oh, I want to baptize these kids. I want to baptize them." It's like, "Well, your baptism is valid, but the kids aren't catechized. They can't do it." So it's a little like origin story of Athanasius. He eventually became a priest, and then only 32 years old, by city acclaim, and this was very common back in the day, you know. It's like, "Oh, the people like you, you're going to be bishop. Oh, the people like you, you're going to be pope." So he became Bishop of Alexandria when he was like 32 years old, and then he was on and off bishop for the next 50 years. So he is synonymous with Arianism. So in short, what's Arianism? Arius was a priest who around 319 came up with the idea that essentially Jesus was not begotten and didn't exist from the beginning of time with God the Father, that he was made by God the Father and he didn't coexist with God the Father since the beginning of time. That's my very poor definition of Arianism. But essentially it was a questioning of the Trinity and a questioning of what was the nature of Jesus Christ. So Athanasius was like, no, this heresy ain't going to work. And Constantine was still alive. He convened the Council of Nicaea partly to fight Arianism. And the council made it anathema. But it didn't really matter because the next 50 years, Arianism overcame the known Christian world. Estimates are 2/3 to 3/4 of all bishops at the time became Arianists. They believed in Arianism. And so Athanasius is like John the Baptist, a voice crying out in the wilderness. And he got deposed repeatedly by emperors because later, after Constantine died, we had a couple of them. We have Julian the Apostate, who turned on Christianity completely. But then you have Valens later on, who was a supporter of Arianism. And so you saw in Alexandria, there was an Arianist faction. They trumped up charges for him. That's what his first and second exile was about. And then later on, they put in a new bishop who was supportive of Arianism. And so Athanasius was getting exiled, but he was also trying to petition to the Pope at the time. And he was exonerated, but then trumped up charges again, but they got exonerated. And this is pretty much his whole life. But during the time, he wrote a lot of books, and a lot of them survive today. I mean, I love the fact that he wrote a treatise called Against the Heathen. Can you imagine? That would never get written today. But he had a lot of apologetic treatises. But the most important thing why Athanasius is revered as a doctor of the church, aside from the fact that he wrote a lot, was that he goes to like a bygone era of saints who were not pusillanimous. And I think this is really so so obvious when you see the behavior of our pusillanimous bishops in America during the lockdown, and how a lot of them were like told priests, oh, you can't give baptism, you can't give last rites, you can't do all these things. And, you know, it's a separate topic on the UCCB or even the Vatican right now, what your opinion of it. But Athanasius didn't give a damn. He was called Athanasius contra mundum, Athanasius against the world. Imagine, and you can relate, because there are good Orthodox priests and bishops right now that see what's happening in the Vatican and see the modernist infiltration of the Vatican, and they are similar to Athanasius. But imagine 66 to 75% of the bishops believing in this heresy, and he fought to the death to defend Orthodox Catholic beliefs. And that's why he is an amazing saint, and that's why every city in America and really in the world should have a parish called St. Athanasius, because we need more people like St. Athanasius who aren't cowards, who are going to preach the word and not worry about how this is going to affect their promotion up the ladder or how this is going to affect their benefits and their money and all these things. This is what we need, and this is why I love St. John Chrysostom and Athanasius and future saints we do, because they kicked butt. Guys, post in the comments. Let me know what you think of Athanasius and other saints you'd like me to do a treatment on. Hit the notification, subscribe, and share button. Share with like-minded people, as my canaries are driving me crazy. As always, take care, God bless, and pray.